Greetings, Padawans, and welcome to the Archives. Here to unlock this holocron is the man of the hour, Jedi Master Sotiko.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 17 of the Archives podcast. I'm your host, So Debo, joined by Off-Meta Van Seal. Welcome to the podcast, and welcome to the Archives.
Never going away.
No, and I think at this stage, it's a good fit. It's a really good fit. But this is the Archives podcast. Today we're going to be talking about some of the more behind-the-scenes, brilliant things about Star Wars and just having a good time, having a laugh. We're going to be playing a few games. We have a this or that segment. We're going to do some in-house debates and going to talk about a little bit of news. Then we're going to talk about some hot takes and end it off with what I feel like is a nice, fun little segment where we are going to come up with the official Archives podcast canon. So we are going to choose which books, shows, movies become canon and which we are going to ostracize to legends. To kick things off, just to get the energy going, we're going to play a little bit of this or that. It's essentially like Would You Rather, but just with two options. Gonna keep them in-house to Star Wars. So this or that, instead of
Natalie Portman,
you get Keira Knightley as Padme.
Oh, that's so. You know, it's funny. That's almost true.
Yeah, because wasn't she like one of the doubles or something?
She was Queen Amidala, I think, for like a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Natalie Portman just killed that fucking role. I think she was Padme Amidala.
I mean, yeah, but
like, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Does Keira Knightley look more like Princess Leia than Padme does? Because that...
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good point.
I want to say Keira Knightley does look a little bit more Carrie Fisher-esque.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Like, nothing crazy, but I think there's more of a resemblance there. Whereas with Leia and Padme, it's
more of like the personality that transfers over, not much looks. Yeah.
Leia... Carrie Fisher looks a lot like Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
So either way it works. I think it's funny how the gene splicing worked with the Skywalkers, because while they both got Anakin's power, so they got 100% of Anakin's power, 0% of Padme's power, they got 0% of Anakin's height and 100% of Padme's height. Because Luke is like 5'8", 5'9", and Leia's then like 5'3", 5'4", so...
It's all about those dominant and recessive alleles, man. That's all it is.
Exactly. I wouldn't have minded Keira Knightley, though, truthfully.
I think it would have been cool, like... So the idea of having Padme having like her own secret service, I thought was always really cool and super interesting, especially if you look at the actresses that actually played them, because at the time you had Keira Knightley, there was one other, I forgot her name. She's like the girl from like Insidious, all those movies. I forget her name, but she was also one of them. I think she's the one that dies in the opening of Attack of the Clones. But I think it would have been cool if Padme had like one like assistant, or like the one like bodyguard that was like kind of with her throughout the trilogy. I know she had a Captain Eye Patch, Mr. Pirate, I forget his name, sorry.
Oh yeah, Keira Knightley played Sabe. That's crazy.
Yeah, all the names end with A too, or A or something like that. So it's like Padme, Sabe, Corday.
Yep, Corday.
But, I think it would have been cool to see more of Keira Knightley, for sure.
Apparently there's one that was named Hornay. W. We love that.
Nice.
Played by Jennifer No, Jamila McMillan. So
Like, all right, who wants to be horny?
yeah.
Raise your hand.
I do. Not the boys. Jeez.
Pick me, please pick me.
All right.
Oh man.
So have you got a this or that for a Star Wars? Because I've got another one that's I think a banger. I think it's a banger.
This or that. Trying to think. Okay, yeah, and this is something I brought up before in other episodes, but like instead of so Luke is facing the Emperor, he's on the ground being electrocuted. Would you rather see Palpatine get thrown down by Vader or Palpatine and Vader actually fight?
And it all
Like
makes
something
sense. Like
something more epic where there's more of a struggle instead of Vader just picking him up and throwing him. You got to consider though that Vader is missing an arm and he's kind of beat up from Luke. So I don't know.
I think it'd be tight if Vader picked up, because he lost his saber. If he picked up Luke's and used the Jedi's lightsaber again, I think, especially with the theory that Luke's crystal is Qui-Gon's, I think that would bring everything full circle. Like he's using Qui-Gon's, he's using Qui-Gon's saber to end the Sith, truly making him the chosen one. That'd be pretty nuts. Kind of got goosebumps there talking about it, but
I wasn't aware of that theory of Luke's saber as Qui-Gon's crystal. That's crazy.
Yeah, it originates from Obi-Wan being just this big like nerd, and Obi-Wan did have Qui-Gon's lightsaber. There's that statue of him.
Yeah, he picks it up and keeps it with him. Yeah,
and he has Anakin's. He originally had what was it? He originally had one of Yoda's lightsabers, but that comic got retconned.
Yeah, but Luke ends up getting Yoda's lightsaber somehow. They don't really explain that yet, do they?
No, I'm guessing it's just from his little hut when he passes away, because another little tidbit, Yoda fell into the Force and he was like wrapped up in Qui-Gon's robe. That's what he used as a blanket. But yeah, the theory was that Obi-Wan had Qui-Gon's crystal in his little box, and within that was like the journal, which I have over here. Actually, I actually found this. So this journal is called the Jedi Path, and essentially it's been passed from Yoda to Yoda's apprentices, Thame Cerulean, who passed it to Dooku, who passed it to Qui-Gon, who passed it to Obi-Wan, who passed it to Anakin, who gave it to Ahsoka. It was then it was then stolen from the Jedi Temple by Sidious and then reclaimed by Luke. And each of the pages has like annotations and stuff from each of the Jedi. And
interesting.
Yeah. In this journal was in, or a section of it was copied in Obi-Wan's little box, and that was how to create a lightsaber, which is why Luke's lightsaber looks so much like Obi-Wan's, because he literally just went by his schematics, and he used Qui-Gon's crystal to be the crystal, because I think it spoke to him because of how much that Qui-Gon loved Anakin, that he wanted his crystal to then speak to Luke. So pretty cool little theory. But yeah, to wrap up and answer your question, I think if Anakin used that lightsaber to end the Sith, it would have saved us from some sequels that we aren't a fan of the wrap up, and it would have just been beautiful. I think if you tell the story 1 to 6, that's a very possible outcome. but because it was 4, 5, 6, we didn't know about Qui-Gon yet. It's a little bit different.
Yep.
So similar, this or that. Just got a message from MJ as well. He might be popping in here shortly. Similar, this or that. As far as the originals go, would you rather have had Luke display like some Force stuff prior to meeting Obi-Wan, or have him not Force sensitive at all until he meets Obi-Wan?
I'd like him not being Force sensitive at all. Just because I feel like if he were to like display any hint of being Force sensitive, like someone would have said something by then. I mean, I know Tatooine's kind of like the ass end of the galaxy, but like I feel like somebody would have said something by then, and it would have may or may not have jeopardized or put a lot of pressure on Owen and Beru. But I think if he was, I mean, something subtle, something where like maybe like something where like he can move stuff with his mind, but he only does it when no one's looking, and he just assumes that everybody can do this. He doesn't realize he's special. So, but I think I'm gonna go with the no signs of Force sensitivity.
That's fair, and that's kind of a dilemma that I'm facing right now as I write my book, because I'm writing about a 10-year-old on Tatooine who is he's basically a day away from finding out and figuring out these powers that he has, and I'm writing it so that his father was one of the people in the crowd during Kenobi that witnessed a Jedi get strung up and murdered, So the defense in my book is that he doesn't want his son to even know that like he's capable of doing these things, and he doesn't want anyone to know, but just out of fear of what could happen to him, because the last Jedi that he saw got put up on display for the whole town to see out of fear,
Yeah.
So I think Owen and Beru probably felt the same way as well, where they were trying to just repress it as much as they could, because Owen was there. He saw the guy.
Owen just doesn't want anything to do with
that
Anakin,
too,
because he knows like Obi-Wan, the Jedi, they all messed up. Like he's probably like, how the hell did you let this happen? Like he's probably somebody, he's like, he supported the Republic, things were good, but now he's like, how did you guys let this happen?
Yeah.
Now our lives suck because of you. Like, I don't want any more of your BS, kind of a thing.
Yeah, he's kind of like that guy who was working.
Yeah, he's just a blue collar guy, just working, just wants to collect his paycheck, pay his bills, and now life sucks because the people he trusted messed up.
Yep. And it probably, I've never been able to like get over the fact that Bale and his wife accepted Leia as their daughter, but Luke was always their nephew, They never adopted him. They were just simply like taking care of him.
Well, I think it's because they wanted to keep them separated, just because they're like, if one gets discovered, at least we have the other.
Yeah.
So I mean, one of them's super rich, the other one's super poor. I mean, you got to keep them as far away from each other as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Lifestyles included, I think.
I wonder how things would have turned out though if Obi-Wan just raised the kid. What up, MJ? How you doing, buddy?
I don't know. I think Obi-Wan would have screwed up.
At some point. Yeah.
I think he would have screwed up. I think at this point Obi-Wan knows like they were all wrong about a lot of things, and Obi-Wan's just trying. Obi-Wan's like in like salvage mode at this point. I think Obi-Wan would have screwed up. because I think he would have gotten too personal. Like obviously he's let his guard down so many times after episode 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all he can do is be a guide, and that's the role he accepted, and he knows that's all he can be.
Yeah. And he didn't have any other outlets either. It's not like Satine was still around. It's not like he knew where Ahsoka was. Like, he was literally on his own. So it probably was for the best that he didn't then have a responsibility that he had to take care of.
Yeah.
But his responsibility was just being that overseeing protector of the kid, which, like you said, it works out very well. It works out very well.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
How we doing?
Good. We're just doing a little bit of this or that right now, which is basically like a would you rather, but in-house for Star Wars. So right now we're debating whether or not you'd want Luke to have been showing like Force sensitivity before Obi-Wan started teaching him stuff.
I think it was played right.
I do too. I think if he did, like Van Seal said, if he did something just little, something subtle that he may have thought everyone could do, that would have been one thing. But if in the most part, I think they did it well. My only thing is he was like, what, 18, 19? 17
in A New Hope.
I think that might be a little bit late to start quote unquote showing. So I'm on the train that Luke had shown something, and I knew like
I feel like Luke Luke would have been so oblivious. Like I feel like he would have done something and like not even realize he did something. Like I don't know. Like
he has
huh? What?
He has the focus parts where he's a great pilot, best bush pilot in the Outer Rim. Yeah. He can bullseye a womp rat from 300 meters away. All of which, like, not everyone's doing. Not even what's her nut, Master Assassin. What's her name?
Sam, Fennec, Aura.
Fennec Shand. Not even her, because she misses like every other shot that she takes. And she's meant to be this Master Assassin. But I find it very hard to not think that he wasn't doing something. Like even the little kid in The Last Jedi was just using the Force to grab his broom. So surely Luke had something like that. Along the lines of what you were saying, where it was very subtle.
That kid was using magnets. He wasn't using the Force.
Surely he was using the Force.
There was a string on that broom.
Do you guys think... I guess this is kind of moving on from the this or that and just getting into just some talking. Do you think that kid will pop up in this Rey movie?
Hell no, man.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think anyone's going to pop up in this Rey movie other than Rey. Maybe Finn to say hello, and Poe to say what's up, to give a high five to Finn, and that's it. And then BB-8, of course. That's it. I don't see anyone else. I don't even see anyone else returning. I don't.
I don't see John Boyega coming back at all.
No, he'll be back.
I think he is.
Like a brief hello.
Well, he's booked to be a Jedi.
I mean, he was kind of fed up with the sequels.
Yeah.
He'll be there for a little bit.
It wasn't too long ago, though, that he said... I'll pull up his quote. But he said he's open to returning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he opened up, and he said that he's down to return to the universe. So, in a lot of media, too, they're starting to make Finn a Jedi apprentice too, so there's that going for him. I don't think though that he'll be a prominent character in this movie.
No,
I don't think he'll be like a number two.
like thinking way down the line. I mean, this is way down the line, especially for Disney, the state they're in right now. I mean, like, if anything, this movie's just gonna be a hub for other Disney Plus possible series. Like, Finn might get his own series after this, or Poe might get his own show after this. Like, this is, I feel like the Rey movie, because it's so weird. We've never had a Star Wars movie that is a sequel, like Episode 10, but it's a one-off. We've never had that. So to me, like, I feel like this is just going to be one movie to be like, okay, let's make more money, let's double down on the sequel trilogy, and then it's going to open up the doors to, hey, Finn's going to get a new show, and we're going to see what he does post Episode 10, and Poe's going to be there with him or something. I don't know.
She said recently, I'm just pulling up a article from Deadline, and it's based on an interview with Collider. She says that the next film is not what she expected, and I think that might be
Who is she?
Daisy Ridley.
Okay.
Ray Krennic, as we know her now.
Ray Krennic, I love it.
She said that, quote, I know the storyline for one film. That's not to say that's all it is, but what I was told about it, and I imagine it will be the next film, I think. I mean, again, I don't know, post-strikes and everything, how quickly everything will start up again, but yes, so far, I know the story of one film, and I think people will be very excited. So, I'm not mad about that, because if it's not what she expected, then it's good.
Like, just kidding, you're not actually a Skywalker after all. Haha, sucker.
See, I'm not mad about her being a Skywalker. And I guess this could be the final this or that. Would you rather just Rey or Rey Skywalker?
I like the original idea for Rey Solano.
Rey Solano?
Yeah, haven't you? That's like the original script. Have you seen that or no?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, her last name is like Solano. Like, that's her original last name. So, like, her parents were like strong supporters of the Republic. One of her parents was Force sensitive or something like that, but they didn't know they were Jedi. Like her parents weren't like nobody, but it opened up the door to like figure out who her parents were.
Gotcha.
But like it was like, yeah, you're not a Skywalker, you're not a Ben, you're not a Palpatine. Like the bloodline doesn't matter. It really doesn't. She's just her own character, and it made her that much better. It's like, it's almost like it kind of reminded me of like Knights of the Republic. It's like, okay, you have Darth Revan, and then you have Mitra Surik. It's like Mitra Surik is a badass character because she's her own thing. If they made her like Revan's daughter, it's like, okay, well, that's just a little like on the nose, you know what I mean? It's like, and that's just kind of like, well, you know, you got so much plot armor because you're just the daughter of the main guy.
Yeah.
Like, if she was just Rey Solano, I think her character would be 10 times better. Like, just like, you're your own thing. You're not related to anybody. You're just your own thing trying to figure everything out. And it's like, that's kind of cool. That is literally how you pass the torch along to a new generation and to a new cast. It's like, to a new character, not to like your relative over and over and over. Because then all of a sudden, these Star Wars films just feel like tunnel vision that we're focusing on the same family. It's like, there's more to the Star Wars universe than the Skywalker bloodline. You know, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And with that, like, something that you said there, how it would just make her own character and stuff. Do you think that Rey would be more accepted for something as little as her maybe using her own iconic ship? Because I think that there were a lot of...
like, that's something I'm like, why doesn't she have her own thing at this point? Like, I understand the Falcon has to show up, right? I get that. The Falcon has to be around. Luke's X-Wing, I don't know how that thing had gas. I don't know how that thing was running after it's been sitting underwater for, like, who knows how long. But, yeah, Rey not having her own ship is, like, super weird. Like, I feel like we're in the future now. Like, we're 30 years after the original trilogy. Like, you have to have newer ships. I mean, what, in in the first episode of Ahsoka, they show off the V-Wing.
Yep.
Which is the superior version of the X-Wing by far. Didn't see a single V-Wing in the Resistance at all. It was just X-Wings and A-Wings again, and a couple of U-Wings. So again, Disney just recycling stuff over and over because they, for whatever reason, they can't create things anymore.
Yeah.
But
in universe, I get that part though, because X-Wings were like the cheapest ship that you could get your hands on.
Sure.
So in universe, I get it, but I know exactly what you mean.
But we have the New Republic, and it's like, anyways. I don't know. Yeah, why Rey doesn't have her own specialized ship? Don't know. I really don't know. That's a really, I never really thought about that, but I really feel like as skilled as she is, she should be able to fly whatever she wants, not just the Falcon or Luke's X-Wing. It's just like get your own ship and become your own person. And they literally say that to her in the movie. They're like, don't be afraid to be your own person. Don't be afraid to be who you are. But it's like, who she is she wants to be everybody else. The best parts of everyone else.
Yeah, and psychologically, you can kind of understand why. Because she was dumped when she was, all of 6 years old on a planet by herself. So I get that. She has like severe abandonment plus attachment issues. But I think if you give her her own ship, simply rewriting The Last Jedi so Luke, is more of a approachable teacher rather than a hermit. And if she builds her yellow lightsaber, then
early, yeah, like the beginning of the film,
yeah, like just after her teachings with Luke, like, all right, this is your final step to become a Jedi. I had to do this. Every Jedi before you has had to do it. If she did that, and the first time we see it ignite is against Kylo, then I think she might be more revered.
Yeah, or even do a Mando season 2. Like, have her build her own ship out of like Luke's X-Wing. Like, don't just take his X-Wing. Like build something out of spare parts from him, or hell, even take spare parts from the Falcon. It's like, I think that'd be kind of cool to see like a ship that uses different parts from your different teachers and masters. It's like,
yeah, 100%.
Not only are they giving you knowledge to build yourself, but they're giving you parts to build your ship. And it's like, no, she just takes everyone else's ship anyways. But because I do like her lightsaber design, I think it's cool. I do think it's unique.
Yeah,
different.
her saber's sick.
It definitely reminds me of her because it's literally her staff. It's
and that's kind of what her character is too.
Pelt.
Yeah, she's a scrapper, so
yeah,
she reuses everything that she can, and that's why I don't mind her using other people's stuff, because it does keep you tethered to, at her core, she's a scavenger. But it would be nice at a certain point when she does become this Jedi Master that she is rocking around with her own ship, just to.
Yeah, at that point she's more independent. Like she's just a scavenger to survive. Like once she starts learning how to train with Luke, like you're not like working for your next meal. You're like working to save the galaxy. There's a big difference.
So I hope
much higher calling at that point.
I hope she's got a sick ship, because they even gave Ahsoka a brand new ship with Hu Yang.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not a new ship, but like a newer ship for live action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they was like, all right, this is now going to be associated with Ahsoka, and if they do something like that with Rey, they don't need to give her something brand new. They don't need to bring out like a double X-wing or a triple X-wing.
Like so one thing I wish they would have done live action is like, I don't like how overused the Millennium Falcon is, because when I think of the Millennium Falcon, I think of Han and Chewie. Han and Chewie, that's it. They tried bringing a new Millennium Falcon in Clone Wars. I don't know if you remember the Twilight. It was like an ugly box-looking ship with like weird wings. They got rid of it like in season 1 or 2. Like the Twilight. I don't remember
it, but I'm doing a rewatch, so I'll look out for it.
Nobody remembers it because it was an ugly design and it failed. But that was supposed to be the Millennium Falcon for Clone Wars. It was like, you always had Anakin flying it, Ahsoka was in there, R2, Obi-Wan. It was their Falcon.
Okay.
And like I said, it just didn't work out. It was a horrible design. It was really dumb. They got rid of it in season 2, and then Obi-Wan uses it to visit Mandalore to rescue Satine, and then Maul blows it up in season 4. Anyways, my point I was trying to make is I wish they would have gotten a new Falcon, because in Knights of the Republic you have the Ebon Hawk.
Yep.
And the Ebon Hawk there's a lot of similarities to the Falcon, but the Ebon Hawk is its own ship.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of like the same layout, but it's a different make, different model, different design, but it serves the same purpose. It is the hub for all your crew members. They have all their different cabins, kind of like the Ghost. The Ghost is the Rebels version of the Falcon. So I really wish we got that in the episode 7, 8, 9. I wish we got a new Falcon.
Yeah.
I think having the Falcon episode 7 with Han Solo is appropriate because we're seeing him return. Sure, have that ship return, but I would have liked if our new crew got their own mobile home. You know what I mean? Like their own version.
Yeah, 100%. Because in Star Wars, everyone has their own iconic ship.
Yeah, everyone has like their iconic ship or their mobile ship / home that they'll, reside in. Yeah,
like Anakin is a yellow ship. He paints his Jedi Starfighter yellow because his attachment to his Naboo Starfighter. Obi-Wan always had red because he was a redhead. Yoda's Starfighter was green. Boba Fett and Jango Fett had the Slave 1. Han has the Millennium Falcon. Luke has his X-Wing that he doesn't let anyone else fly no matter what.
And the one thing you notice too is a lot of these ships that you're naming, they kind of like, well, maybe with the exception of Anakin, but a lot of these ships, like the color schemes match the color scheme of the character.
Yeah.
And that's not a coincidence. That's done on purpose. Like when you see these ships flying, you're supposed to correlate the colors of their costume with the ship, and who's in there.
Mm-hmm. And that's with Han. Han's a sloppy, sluggish guy. So is his ship. His ship's falling apart, and so is he. So it echoes him as well. And then, like you said, when you come to the sequels, Poe has this with his X-Wing.
Poe has his with X-Wing. Tally's A-Wing looks like her, even though she's in it for about 5 minutes before she gets blown up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are a couple, right? Like there are a couple, and unfortunately, it's just I feel like they didn't really spend a whole lot of time on the that aspect of it. I don't know. I mean,
no, it's just weird because even like Kylo's Interceptor / Whisperer,
it just looks like an interceptor with a red paint job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the one thing that blew me away was how I've said this before in a couple episodes, previous episodes, where when I was growing up watching the prequels when they were coming out, the one thing I was always excited about when episode 2 came out, episode 3 came out, was I was always wondering, what's the new AT-AT gonna look like? What's the new Stormtrooper gonna look like? Or Stormtrooper equivalent, which was the battle droid. So what, you know what I mean? Because they have snowtroopers of this, snowtroopers of that. It's like, what's the next version? So when The Force Awakens came out, I was like, oh, cool, the new Stormtroopers look sick. Oh, the new Stormtroopers look crazy. Like the different iteration, the next generation of design. The TIE Fighters look like TIE Fighters. The X-Wings look like X-Wings. The X-Wings look a little bit more sleek, I'll give it that. But, in terms of innovation, they don't change a whole lot when it comes to the ships. Which is kind of depressing. And same thing with the blasters, too. I was like, dude, the Stormtrooper's new blaster looks like something that came out of, an Apple store. Looks like something from the mind of Steve Jobs. I'm like, it's too clean.
Yeah, and that's how... I did appreciate the evolution from where they started to where they then went back to and then jumped into the future with just appearances and stuff of how slick some things looked, but they did look like an Apple store for certain.
But like I said, even the TIE Fighters, the TIE Fighters just look tight. We had to wait till the very end of episode 9 to get a unique looking TIE Fighter, which was the TIE Dagger, and all they did on that ship was make the wings triangles, which it's something, but going from the Vulture droid to a TIE fighter, it's like completely different designs and operating systems. But then going from TIE fighter to TIE fighter, it's just kind of like it's a little lackluster.
What were the Republic little evolution into the TIE fighter things called?
So the Republic had a ton of stuff. They had the ARC 170s.
Yeah.
Those ships are amazing. I love those ships. I think they were super, super cool. The Republic, they had the Y-Wings, which just ended up being Rebel Y-Wings. They had the V-Wing. The V-Wing was I think it was the V-Wing or the V-Fighter, but that's the one that ended up being the TIE Fighter.
Right.
They also had a ship, I forget what it's called, but it was a really weird ship. It had 3 wings, and one of them was on the top, and it dropped down on the bottom. I forget what it was called, but they had that as well. And then they also had a smaller version of the ARC 170. I forget what that one was called as well, but it was like a solo pilot because the ARC 170 had 3 crew members, and then they had a smaller one that just required 1. But they had a lot of great stuff. Like I said, the prequels, like it was just like they thought of everything in terms of like different ships.
Yeah. So with all that, it's just nuts that their pedestal character, I'm not going to call her the main character because I'm firm that it was Kylo, but Rey, it's weird that they never gave her own iconic ship because every iconic character has her own ship.
They have something that's theirs. Yeah, it doesn't have to be iconic. She could have had her own X-wing and had a different paint job on it, and that would have been good enough in my opinion.
Yeah, would have been tight.
That would have been fine. Like Poe has his, black and orange. She has her like, I don't know, like beige and brown or something, or beige and blue. I don't know, something to match her aesthetics, or all white. Make an X-wing all white. So it's Rey. I don't know. That actually would have been cool. That would have been sick. So
Poe's white X-wing was fire.
Poe is completely black with orange stripes.
Yeah.
And hers is completely white with orange stripes.
That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been dope. And the orange is because, BB-8's in one or the other.
Exactly. And BB-8 would have looked gas in that as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe R2, R2's kind of like her droid moving forward as well, as far as her astromech goes. Even with that, like that in and of itself a legacy of like passing down the torch. It went from Anakin to Luke, now to Rey. Like even R2-D2 is being passed down. So it's cool to see. It is cool to see because I'm really big into like family legacies and stuff. And she obviously is like the heir to the Skywalker name right now. So
usurper.
She's the usurper of the Skywalker name.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see things like family heirlooms become prevalent.
Sure.
It wasn't as cool with the lightsaber. I would have rather Anakin's lightsaber have not been a part of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. When it's a father and son thing, that's different. That's totally different. But a total stranger, like, yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Hear me out. Would it have been cooler if the lightsaber that Maz had was Kenobi's over Luke's?
I don't think it would have mattered. I think the whole reason they included it was just for nostalgia. So I think it would have been cool if, like, they used it, right? If I was writing the script, I would have said, okay, in the battle of Kylo destroys it or breaks it.
Mm-hmm.
Or she returns it to Luke, and that's the last we see of it. I wish whoever saber it was, whether it's Kenobi's or Anakin's, I wish it was just a cameo appearance for the weapon.
Yeah,
like, this is a weapon, and it's going to be used one last time, or we're going to see it one more time on screen in action in the hands of a stranger. Like, they don't know what they're holding, but the viewer does. but it's just like a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they just, they just were like, oh, it's yours now. It's like, that's weird. All right.
Yeah, the reason why I think it'd be better if it was Kenobi's, just to make sense of it, is because Kenobi's saber was picked up by Vader, then taken to his castle in Mustafar, which, could have been scavenged after he was perished. But with Luke's saber, his hand gets cut off on Bespin.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I
haven't even looked into how it gets found. I don't know.
There's two theories, and one of which was supposed to be the opening to The Force Awakens, or it was supposed to be like the end screen for The Force Awakens originally, which is where Luke's hand is floating through space, and then it enters the atmosphere on Takodana. The hand burns up, but the lightsaber doesn't. The lightsaber plummets and falls.
Holding on while it's going down.
Yeah. And then Maz picks it up, and that's how it ends. That's how it's supposed to end. It was like supposed to be one of those like Marvel post-credit scenes, but Star Wars doesn't do those, so it got cut and rewritten. The other one was an Ugnaught got the saber, sold it to somebody who then Maz bought it from. An Ugnaught working on Bespin. So I don't like either theory. I think it should have just been to the wayside. But Kenobi's makes sense. It could have been scavenged, could have been found, but it also could have just been any random lightsaber. It could have just been a lightsaber.
Yeah, like I said, they just included it because
nostalgia.
It got people excited. Yeah, that's it.
And how did Maz know it was Luke's? I think Maz is one of the Wills.
Maz probably slept with Yoda, let's be honest.
Probably.
They snuck out right before Luke showed up.
Been around a few years. You never know what they were doing with that lightsaber, getting jiggy with it, but I think Rey just needs a little bit more better writing, because I think there is a character there, but they're not doing her justice by, like you said, giving her all these like hand-me-down stuff.
Yeah, she's literally like your adopted cousin that lives with you, and she took your Xbox, your car, your fridge, your dog. It's like, how are you supposed to like this person? Oh, and by the way, she's better than everything, and she has your last name. It's just like,
yep.
Like, who are you, and what are you doing in my house?
Part of that's very true. I wonder what Ben thought about it. I wonder what Ben thought about, like, damn, Luke's training you? He didn't even like me. He tried to kill me. He's training you? You're terrible.
Yeah, Ben was probably even more pissed off.
But I mean, for good reason. How do you feel about the whole hand-me-down stuff, MJ?
I definitely think Maz was Yoda for sure every Saturday night. Them goggles have a shade of green on them if you look clearly.
He's seen things.
I want to know what species that she is. I do want to know what species Yoda is at this point. Like,
Yoda's a Yoda.
I know, but with like
Mando's a Mando.
With all the testing that's been done on Grogu, I want to know what species the fucker is. Like, that would have been a nice little thing to learn from season 1 from Brain Fry Boy. Like, oh, he's a...
I'm kind of glad they did it, because there's some things that like not just in Star Wars, but I think there's certain things that just like can remain a mystery because they have no impact on the story. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like it's been Yoda was a thing, 1980 is when Empire Strikes Back came out. 80 or 81?
81.
Anyways, 81. Yoda has been a character, a world-known, like, just world-class, super popular character, you know. And there's got to be a reason why they haven't given him a species in over 40 years. And I think it's just because just leave it. Like the fact that he is a mystery is what makes him so amazing. I think that's what makes people like just in awe that he is the master, because you don't know everything about him. I feel like if you just said like, oh, let's just write that he's a mutated turtle or a frog, it's like all of a sudden Yoda doesn't look as cool anymore. He's not as interesting. He doesn't have this like mysterious guise to him anymore. So I think you know, if you're gonna name him or give him some kind of backstory, they would have done it years ago. But we're 40 plus years in. There's no reason to give him anything, because it's one, you're gonna take away from the character, and you're gonna take away from the character, and you're not gonna add anything to the Star Wars story. So I think when you're going back to do little details like that, you have to ask yourself, is this necessary?
I just looked up, and it's literally just called Yoda's species on Wikipedia. And do you think, because this says that the species in its origins is shrouded in mystery, was rarely seen. Do you think him and Yaddle had a relationship?
No.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think it's too on the nose.
I feel like they're gonna come out and say that Grogu was the baby to them.
I do too. Because
In season 4, Mando possibly.
The only
because it would have to be very fucking rare.
The only way I can see that is if that's the only way the species survives. If we learn more about Yoda's species, where it's like they only can mate with one other person in their species, and they can only have one kid or something like that to keep their species that rare, then I'd be like, okay, that's just part of their species. But we have so little information how Yoda even exists, and even in the Old Republic, we have even less information. So it's just kind of like, but the fact that we have Yoda and Yaddle, it's like, I'm like, it's a little too on the nose. Where it's like, oh, 1 + 1 = 3 kind of a thing. It's like, well, that's bad math actually. 1 + 1 = 2. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I don't know. I mean, sure, if we want to say that that's their kid, that's their kid, but it just, I don't know.
I think what's going to happen with Grogu, since The Mandalorian now is just basically the Ice Age, but just for Star Wars. I think...
That's good. I haven't heard that one. That's really good. I like that.
I think that, like in Ice Age, when Manny thinks he's the last mammoth, but then he goes and he goes to this random part of Earth where there's just all mammoths. I think they're gonna take us to a planet where there's all just a bunch of Yodas.
Las Vegas full of Yodas.
All a bunch of gambling addicts, drunk bums.
They're like, look at this guy. He's still a Jedi. He hasn't figured it out yet.
I just have a bad feeling we're gonna get a planet of Yodas, and they're gonna call him something goofy, because you never know. I've always
thought that Yoda somehow has to be related to the Martians from Toy Story. Somehow. The ones with the three eyes and
the claw.
Yeah. I'm like, Yoda's got to be related to those guys somehow.
I'm more surprised that they never put like a little Yoda thing in there in the claw machine. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Some really good advertisement too for the upcoming Star Wars. Because when did Toy Story drop? 95. So it would have been a bit. Never mind. Would have been a bit late.
Yeah.
There were Yoda toys back then, though.
Well, yeah, they were in the middle of re-releasing the original trilogy in the 90s anyways.
With Mandalorian season 4. This is something that I wanted to talk to MJ about and do a little predictions video, but I think it's probably better to do it here on the podcast since we have the bounty hunter fan Ahmed Van Seal with us. Mandalorian season 4. This is not what you think is going to happen, but you want to happen. How would you go about handling Mandalorian season 4? What storylines would you want? Characters? All of it. For me personally, I think you at this rate, bring back Cara Dune. You have to figure out what's going on with they them and try and make Mando more of a character because he's stagnating. He's very much stagnating.
That sounds a lot like episode 9 where it's like salvage operation.
Well, that's
commence.
with season 3, that's kind of what we're at.
Yeah, so I mean,
and for the love of God, get rid of Grogu somehow.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like a lot of those things it's too late for. I agree, get Cara Dune back. Just get her back for the sake of reintroducing her so you can put her in another show. Just put her in for like
Rangers of the New Republic.
Give her in for 1 or 2 episodes, and like that can be her intro to her own show or a different show. But in terms of like they them and all like those other characters, like I don't know. I mean, like I feel like everything I wanted out of the Mando show happened in seasons 1 and season 2. There's not a thing in season 3 I was so glad we got that. I was like, thank God they did that, or thank God they went there. I was like, none of this. I mean, no. I do appreciate going back to Navarro. I think going back to Navarro, shaking your head no. I think going back to Navarro.
I liked seeing how it progressed over the years.
I like the progression of Navarro. How Grief turns it from like this, like almost Tatooine like esque place, and it's being run by the Empire to we're rebuilding it, and now it's like it looks like a really nice place. Like the fact that Navarro is not the same as Disney, Star Wars at Disney is crazy. Like that blows my mind. Like if they would have modeled the Star Wars land after Navarro, it would have been a banger. But the fact, like when you go there, I'm not gonna get into it, but it just, anyways.
Don't go for it. That's what we're here for, man.
Well, it just doesn't look great. Like I live 20 minutes from Disney, and I've been there like twice, and both times I was there, I was like, I'm good after like 15 minutes. I'm like, there's nothing here. There's nobody there. It doesn't even feel or look like Star Wars. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what they, they're just doubling down on the sequel trilogy, and it's like, oh, it's some place from the sequel trilogy, and it has a role in episode 9 somehow, and I'm like, okay. But now in terms of season 4, I don't know. Oh, okay. Here's something I would like to see. Okay, I would like to see a new Razor Crest.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying get rid of the N1. I would like to see a ship like the Ghost for Mando.
Yeah.
Where he has the option to deploy the N1, how the Ghost has the option to deploy the Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be really cool.
And
because I do miss the Razor Crest. I think I actually like the Razor Crest more than the N1. The N1's pretty, but I like the utility of the Razor Crest. It makes more sense because it's his home. It's where he sleeps, where he goes to the bathroom. The N1 is just a Uber.
Yeah.
Like, he has no home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
And that's how it was explained too with the lady was, oh, you can use this for now until I find you another Razor Crest.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to get another sizable time jump too, like we did in season 2 to season 3. It's like a handful of years, which was also nice to see, like the evolution of Navarro over the years,
Yep.
But as far as the Razor Crest goes, I think he needs something that's not just the N1, because especially if he wants to get back to his bounty hunting, because he's not going to be the Marshal of Navarro. He can't do that.
I feel like anytime they give him a new job to do or title, he does it for one episode and then jumps back to something else. And it's just like, the one thing I would like to see is also, can we wrap up this whole Bo-Katan Mandalore crap? Like, just
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what's going to happen with all this Mandalorian stuff?
Just give her the keys of the city, like, let her be queen, and let's move on. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I know a lot of people really like Mandalorians, and I get that, but the show did not do them justice, in my opinion. I feel like Mandalorians are really, really dumb. The fact that you can say, "Hey, Mando," and only one of them turns around still blows my mind. Yeah.
Someone say my name.
Exactly.
I'm with you on that, and I think that it's goofy that they're still calling him Mando and not Din.
And the other Mandalorians call him Mando. It's like,
hello, Mando.
You're all Mando.
They're all Mandalorians. And
it's like that part from SpongeBob. I'm Mando, you're Mando, he, she, me, Mando.
They, them, Mando.
Mandobology, it's first grade, SpongeBob.
No, I'm with you on that. I think there's so much that they have to do because they just wasted so much time in season 3. I think you could have finished.
3 was their last Jedi. Like,
yeah,
it really was.
For sure.
Like,
and I don't blame the writers either because they were given. This is a hot take, hot theory, but I think they were told, hey, you need to bring back Grogu. He's selling too much merchandise. Bring him back.
I think they could have brought him back, but he didn't have to be Mando.
That's what I said. Why couldn't
you could have done like episodes where it's like, okay, part of this episode is taking place with Luke and Yoda, and then we're gonna jump over to Mando. It's like you can tell 2 stories at the same time. I mean, hello, you did that with Book of Boba.
Yeah.
You didn't do a good job at it, but you did it anyways.
Even Book of Boba, it didn't make much sense, and I think that's just because they had to tell the Mando story as well.
Well, Book of Boba had a lot of other like major issues, like big red flags, like the one that like, what's the threat?
Yeah, there's no bad guy.
No bad guy. There's no threat. You know, we're going after teenagers for stealing water.
Yep.
Like, what's going on here? What are we doing?
And what was the other thing that I hated? They kept doing like flashbacks to young Boba and Jango, but they never paid it off with anything. Like, what was that for?
Nostalgia. I don't know, man.
They just had some unused Camino clips that they wanted to throw in.
No, it wasn't unused. Those were brand new clips that they filmed. All they did was they used like CGI for what's his name? Oh God, Logan.
Daniel Logan?
Daniel Logan, thank you. They used CGI on a young Daniel Logan's face and put it on the reflection of the glass. Mm-hmm. But those were brand new scenes. They got a brand new actor to play young Boba. Don't know why they included him, but you know, nostalgia.
They're doing a season 2. So can't wait to read that book.
No.
I'd much rather have a Journal of Jango than a Book of Boba. I'm not gonna lie. A Journal of Jango where he's doing some like undercover separatist shit. That'd be gas. That'd be really cool. But would you rather have that or
I would go ahead, sorry.
Would you rather have a Journal of Jango or a Book of Boba that tells Boba Fett stories?
I think I think they do a Journal of Jango, but do the Boba Fett. I mean, I'm sorry, Boba Fett, but do the bounty hunter storyline from the video game. Mm-hmm. Tell the story of how Jango met Dooku and how Jango became Jango Fett. You know, how did he become the donor for all clones? Because it is a really cool story that involves a lot of, get ready, bounty hunting.
Yep.
Crazy, huh?
With that too, I think that they surely have to recast because Tim's just too old.
I mean, he doesn't have to take his helmet off.
No, that's true. But
we already know what he looks like. I mean, and if he does take his helmet off, you can deep fake him. You can. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, we've seen his face enough where I feel like if you put it on, you're good.
Yeah.
And my example for that is look at Mando season 3. Never takes his helmet off.
No.
We know who he looks like. We know who Pedro Pascal is. If you do a Jango Fett story, don't take his helmet off. You don't need to.
And Pedro's not taking his helmet off in season 4.
Nope. Because he's not there.
No. Even if he was, though, apparently it's just too much for him to be under the helmet. Like he has severe claustrophobia.
Okay. Hopefully no one told him about the spandex he's going to be wearing playing Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. And that's just... I'm not pissed about it because I think I don't care who's under the helmet. I don't care who the voice is. The character is... He's a Mando. He's the Mando. He is Mando. And
he's the guy.
The more that they push Mando and take away from Din is... I guess it's easier for the audience, but there's not much of a character going on with the Mandalorian either, which is why I'm not super resonating with it.
And I think they wrote him that way on purpose. He's literally a vessel for people to travel and follow behind. Mm-hmm. Not the characters in the show, but like the viewers and the audience. Because like every time I remember when I was watching Mando season 1 and 2, I was like, I really don't care for this guy. Not interesting. He is pretty much a knockoff of Boba Fett. But holy shit, all the characters he's visiting, all the set pieces, everything around him, I love. Him, I don't care, but I hope he keeps visiting other places because he's literally this vessel for me to, expand and world build on Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But he himself, he is super 2D, super two-dimensional.
And you think that they did that on purpose?
Yes.
I think they did it on accident, and they just didn't have any other options because they cast Pedro. They figure out midway of shooting that he can't be under the suit, and they're like, all right, well, we have your stunt coordinators.
There's a lot of miscommunication, I think, with Pedro and the start of season 1, because there's a couple interviews that are public where Pedro actually discloses that he signed the contract, he signed for the show, and they're pitching it to him as if like, hey, you're going to be this character that's like Boba Fett, like we're writing him like he's Boba Fett, and they kept saying Boba Fett to him, so he thought he was actually going to be playing as Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, I'm not him? Like, no, you're not, but you're just like him. And it's like, well, what's the difference then? It's like, good question.
There's a plethora of difference with those two. Boba's a cold-blooded killer, whereas Mando's like, he'll kill you, but he really doesn't want to.
But the way they had his body language, just like Boba.
Yeah.
In season 1. The way
season 1 of Mando is so fucking superior.
It is, because less is more, in my opinion. Yeah. Less is more when it comes to the Mandalorian. Season 2, I think season 2 is great because he introduced new characters that we can follow and care about. But the Mandalorian himself, I think, does take a step down in season 2. I like him much better in season 1. And then it should have just ended with season 2. It really should have. It was a great close-up shot. Pedro Pascal's all sad, but he's also happy. Mission accomplished. Yoda's back with Luke. Mm-hmm. It should have ended there. It really should have. It was like
that story should have finished there. It was just too popular that they couldn't come up with a different show, to fill its roots. They couldn't have done a Book of Boba Fett, but instead they had to intertwine them. Give us a season 3 that quite literally didn't need to happen, because now we're back in season 1, episode 3, where Mando's got the kid, and it's like his kid now, What are we doing? There's no bad guys. Who's his bad guy? Thrawn?
Gideon's gonna come back. Dude, I'm telling you, Gideon is literally Team Rocket. He's gonna come back, and
I
they're
hope
gonna be
not,
blasting
man.
up. And
I'll be sad.
They literally wrote Gideon as a Saturday morning cartoon villain that, like, I mean, I'm surprised he doesn't do like a hearty har laugh while twirling his mustache. Like, that is how cartoony they wrote to that character.
Pretty much. And that kind of takes us to our next segment, which is presented by Kim's Picks on X. Go follow him for any of your gambling needs. He has VIPs available for a very generous price and is obviously always tweeting out some nice, easy free plays. That's Kim's Picks on X. And this segment is called Nuclear Hot Takes. So we're going to just fire off hot takes that we have for Star Wars and see where we agree or disagree. Do you want to start off, MJ?
Sequels aren't canon.
We're going to get into that. But I would disagree. I disagree. What about you, Van Seal?
I disagree as well. The sequels are canon.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, later on, MJ, we're going to be coming up with our official Archives podcast canon. So we're going to vote which books, shows, movies, etc., video games become canon and which we're going to subjugate to legends. So that's going to be very fun. Hot take that I have is that Obi-Wan Kenobi is the blueprint model of what a Jedi looks like.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think whether I disagree or agree with that. Gosh, you can go either way because, like, I feel like a perfect Jedi is a terrible person. Like, a perfect Jedi is just a horrible, not really human being because it could be different species, but a human being, so to speak. Like, you're really bad socially. You're missing all these social cues. You're just not a very pleasant person to be around, but you're a perfect Jedi. And I think Obi-Wan is, at heart, a good person, but he's not the perfect Jedi because of that. And I think that's one of the things, like, they talk about when you become a Jedi is you have to literally give up and sacrifice anything. And I just don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible to, like, be like a Mace Windu. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, hey, like, everybody hates me, but you know what? I get straight A's. So
I hate Mace Windu with a burning passion. He's my least favorite Jedi.
So I'm gonna say no. Obi-Wan is not the perfect poster boy for, like, what the perfect Jedi is.
That's fair. For me, because he has, I would just say, without any kind of irony, the best balance of that humanity as well as the reliance to the Jedi Order and, like, the Jedi Code. And then towards the end, when he's old Ben, I think that's when you see much more of the human over the code come into play. I think that's why, more importantly, because he's still like that Obi-Wan character, but just going about when the times change. It was a close race for number one for me. A very close number two was Kanan Jarrus as a perfect Jedi. Because I think he's just sick. He does whatever he needs to do. And I don't like Republic Jedis. I should just preface that. I don't like Republic Jedis. I hate Yoda. I'm the biggest Yoda hater in the world, I feel like. But Kanan was just all about protecting and caring about the people that he loved, you know, and doing the best that he could to ensure that everyone got home safely, even if it means sacrificing himself at the end of the day. So Kanan was a close number 2, but for me it was just Obi-Wan.
I gotta say I put Kanan above Obi.
That's fair. He was a very close number 2 for me.
They both gave up their lives, but honestly, Kanan's was more sacrificial, whereas old Ben was just old, and his sacrifice was pushing Luke further into, Jedi.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Have you got a hot take, Van Seal?
Oh yeah, I just have to open my mouth. That's not hard. Anakin was not the chosen one.
In your opinion, who was?
Luke.
You think Luke was the chosen one?
Luke became the chosen one after Anakin forfeited his right to be the chosen one.
It's a very fair theory. It's a very fair theory, but with Anakin, then
I feel like after Anakin fell, he no longer was considered or to be the chosen one, and that right and privilege got passed down to Luke.
That's a good way to put it. Even upon redemption, though, you think?
Even upon redemption.
Okay.
I think especially in that redemption part, I think that was his opportunity to make right for some of the stuff he did. But ultimately, it was his son that pushed him to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And his son was literally willing to die to get him to that point. So I don't think Anakin was the chosen one.
I think he was, but
Okay.
I do also think that it got passed down to Luke. Because Luke was able to stay within himself, and I am a Jedi like my father before me. And he was all about just bringing an end to the Sith. So I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. I think with Anakin's redemption, it does fulfill the prophecy of bringing balance to the Force, especially for the longest of times. Whereas Luke, especially in certain media, it seems like he's less worried about bringing balance to the Force and more institutionalized in growing the Force without having much like fear of, oh, there's darkness here, there, everywhere, but there's always light. I think Luke was much more of an optimist than Anakin was, and for that reason, I know it's a confusing reason, but
no, that makes sense. I mean, honestly, like hearing you say that, I think now I kind of wish Luke would have opened up his own Hogwarts and would have had like the sorting hat of who's a Jedi and who's a Sith, and you're just like the principal of all of them, and it's like, well, I don't have to worry about any dark side users because they're all in my school and I'm teaching them all, so I can just discipline them all, like something like that.
Yeah, and Luke, he was fully aware that certain people had certain tendencies, and this is canon Luke as well, not even Legends Luke, who would teach certain kids certain powers based on certain things that they felt and showed. But canon Luke had the ability to feel, people's emotions and know what they were thinking, know what they were going through. And so he knew certain members of his students were like displaying fear. And he was able to overcome that and be a better teacher because of it. The only person that he couldn't get through to was his own nephew. And I think that's just because of the psychological connection with him and the whole family ordeal. I think there was too much of a bond to kind of see through, because you only want your best for your family. And you're always going to look at your family with rose-tinted glasses in that sense. But I think Luke, I think Rey, I think Anakin, I think they all have a fair shot at being the chosen one. All of them kind of hit the mark, pinned the tail on the donkey, so to say. It's really up for interpretation.
MJ, what do you think? Anakin, do you agree with Anakin was not the chosen one?
I mean, that is a good one.
Or like I should say, he forfeited his right, and then it became Luke. The other point too was like when Obi-Wan defeats Maul, Maul asks like, "Is it the chosen one?" And then Obi-Wan says he is, and it's like, well, they're clearly talking about Luke because
Obi-Wan was dead set that Luke was the chosen one.
Yeah.
I want to say it is Luke.
I think
like Anakin started it, but unfortunately he said, I'm gonna get F's my last semester of Jedi school and say no to my scholarship, and then killed everybody.
I think next week we should do like a mock trial, and we'll get someone else in here, an unbiased party. They'll be the judge, and we'll just do like Anakin versus Luke, who gets the claim of the chosen one. And that could really work into the Archives canon. Who's the chosen one in our canon,
Right.
So definitely tune in next week for that, folks. That'll be fun. We'll decide off camera who's on whose side and who you guys bring in to help. But I think that another hot take, the sequels would have been much better if there was only one director / writer doing all three.
Oh, that's not a hot take, man. That's without a doubt. The one thing is, if you're going to be wrong, I've always gone by this saying. I mean, it's not right, but if you're ever going to be wrong about something, at least be consistent about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is like, I have a writing background, so like when you're writing, if you're misspelling a certain word, the way you get by without people noticing is you misspell it the same way every time.
Yeah.
Because people will assume that is how you spell that word. If you misspell it, then you change it, go back to misspelling it every other sentence, people are going to be like, what the hell's this guy do? Like, what is this?
Just spell especially right, bro. Jesus.
Right, exactly. And I feel like that's exactly how the sequels were. It was just like, you're changing things right in front of us, and you're acting like we don't notice. If you had one director for all three, I don't care if they're good or bad. They would have been consistent at least, and I think that's the biggest issue, is the fact that there is no consistency with the three films.
Yeah, I mean, one movie, one episode, she's Emily, she's she her. Next one, she's Emery, she's they them, and they bounce back.
I don't know. And for a TV show, it's different though. Like, how they have different directors for Mando. I think that's fine, because what it does is when you have a TV show and running series, you kind of have different flavors of ice cream that you can, pick and choose from. But when it becomes a movie with something with a higher budget, something that's going to be remembered, I don't know what it is, but Star Wars movies are just, people remember those more than the shows. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Because you're sitting there for 2.5 hours absorbing that content.
And there's only like, 3 movies every 20 odd years?
Exactly. So I definitely think going forward they gotta have the same crew on board, the same people. If they suck, that's unfortunate, but you know what? It's going to be consistent, because even movies that, and not even just Star Wars, even movies that have had the same directors on like a sequel or whatever, like Transformers is a good one. Not a fan of Transformers, right? You got Michael Bay on everything. You can tell when he has his fingerprints on a movie. You can tell, like James Cameron's doing the Avatar movies. You know what I mean? Like, you have these same director, the same producer, the same crew working on stuff. It's like, it feels like a sequel because it's the same people doing the same thing. When you have different people, different art styles, different directions, I guess it's cool because it's like you're getting a new take, but it's like, what happened to the old thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's a high risk. I feel like it's a high risk, high reward way to do a trilogy, and unfortunately it just didn't pay off.
So, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. With this upcoming trilogy, I know he's getting old, but would you want to see a Ridley Scott Star Wars?
Ooh. Yes. Absolutely, man. Oh my god. Yeah, and it could be a one-off. It could just be its own thing. Absolutely. Like,
I think it could be too. I think
as much as I did not like Andor, you could probably get a movie Andor style with a little bit more action in it.
you
And
could.
you know where I'm going with this too.
Yeah.
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
And we sat down and watched Blade Runner. I watched
The newest one. Yeah.
I watched the original one as well.
Oh, you did? Nice. How'd you like it?
Character-wise, man, I think they were both superb. It's too tough to say which one was better, just because of how well. Ryan Gosling's different gravy.
Yep.
Ryan Gosling is different gravy. He's such a good actor. And I think Blade Runner was sick, and I think Ridley Scott could do a job in Star Wars for sure. He could easily do a job.
And you know what's funny is I could totally see him doing a movie, a Star Wars movie. It's like, it's just a one-off. You know, let's just say it's a one-off.
Yeah, of course.
And I can see it selling more than the sequel trilogy. Like, I could see it being more popular than anything Disney's put out this far.
What would it be though? Would it be like a Luke Skywalker type Blade Runner show? Blade Runner movie?
I think Ridley Scott was going to direct it. I think you stay as far away from the Skywalkers as possible. I think you do your own thing.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he is such a brilliant director that give him as much freedom as he can have. Don't confine him to, you need to include Rey, you need to have the Millennium Falcon in there, you need to have 3 they thems. Don't give him guidelines. Like, just let him do what he does best, because clearly he knows how to make movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And we saw you could see the differences, but also the similarities from 1982 to, what was it, 2019, 2017, the past Blade Runner?
Yeah.
But you still feel within the same universe.
Exactly.
That is very Star Wars-esque, you know? Where you still feel within universe, but this stuff that's came out recently, you kind of feel out of it. And it'd be nice to have that kind of coordinator that could keep you tight, keep you very in universe. Because when I watch Star Wars shows, I like to feel in universe. If something comes up that takes me out of it, it kind of hampers my enjoyment, and that's what Mando season 3 did. I think there were too many high-profile cameos, high-profile castings that didn't need to be there. I think in season 2, Bill Burr worked, but that's hitting the ceiling of casting.
Yeah, that's like, don't go higher than Bill Burr's popularity.
Yeah, I love, Star Wars has been built upon giving high-profile names or high-profile roles to low-profile names.
And you know what's funny too is it's funny to bring up Bill Burr, because I originally did not like him showing up. I was like, "Are you serious, Bill Burr?" I'm like, I watched this dude at 2 a.m. when I can't fall asleep, and I, trying to find something to listen to. But the one thing that turned me around on his character was actually Bill Burr himself, because after season 1 of Mando dropped, every podcast or interview that he was on, he was pimping out the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pimping out Star Wars. Not just the Mando, he was pimping out the writing, the original trilogy. And I'm like, cool. I actually appreciate and like that, because it's an actor that's that I can tell he genuinely enjoys the show, because he used to be a big Star Wars or sci-fi hater. He used to hate like all things nerd related, but he's like, he loves it now.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, that was kind of cool. So that kind of turned me around on the Bill Burr character. But yeah, like, I agree. Like, don't bring any, don't bring in like Michael B. Jordan as like a merchant or something like that. It's like,
no, and don't bring in Michael Cera. He's too big.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think he did it justice. Like, you didn't hear Jack Black saying, "Oh, I grew up with Star Wars, had a lightsaber toy when I was a kid." Everybody did. You're like, and not only is he just too big of a name, he's also a clown. That's kind of who he is. That's what he is.
And you know what? If it would have been funny, like there's certain ways to do like high profile cameos. If they made him like a really fat Mandalorian, I think it would have been hilarious. Yeah. Like, the big one that's just eating like the chicken leg out of like a cartoon, the big old drumstick. That would have been hilarious. I think that'd been funny. But the fact that they made him some like ex-Imperial, I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't buy that he was an Imperial officer. I mean, the way he just acts is like, not menacing at all.
No.
So there's way, and then Lizzo, just like, she's just there for reasons. I don't know. Like, I think you can do cameos in Star Wars. You just have to handle them as like again, less is more.
Yeah, and another hot take. I mean, Mandalorian season 4 is probably the most important season that they have. Genuinely. Why? Because they need a bounce back. And not just a bounce back, it needs to be really fucking good. Because they're dedicating the next handful of years towards this Heir to the Empire movie that's being culminated with Mandalorian, with Ahsoka, with Book of Boba Fett. All that's leading towards the Heir to the Empire movie. So if you put out another stale season, like that is going to be 2 stale seasons, 1 good season, 1 great season. That's not a good tasting pie. That's not getting me excited for a movie that's supposed to be sick as fuck.
I don't think, I'm going to have to disagree on that hot take. I don't think Mando season 4 is important at all. I understand what you're saying, but I think, going to your pie analogy, I think Ahsoka season 2, believe it or not, Book of Boba season 2, are going to be more important, because we've only had 1 season of both shows, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't like either season, but I haven't scarfed down 3 seasons of each show yet. I'm going to give it a chance. I've only taken 1 bite out of these pies. You know what I mean? I'm like, maybe I just got the bad part. Maybe the center is good. I'm almost done with my Mando pie, and you're telling me there's going to be another? I'm going to be like, hell no. I don't want that. Like, I'll order something else.
That's fair.
But I think Ahsoka and Book of Boba, because Book of Boba, especially Book of Boba, because there was almost no story that was told there, right? Like, the whole show takes place within a week.
It was such a
But I feel like, it's funny, I think because it was such a dud, and Mando stole 2 whole episodes, that we're not as invested in Boba Fett yet. I feel like Ahsoka got more screen time in her show than Boba did in his show.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want Boba to be good. Like, I did too. I'm not saying you're calling it a dud because I'm not a hater. I am an optimistic wanter of things to succeed, especially iconic characters that I've cared about since I was a little kid. Like, I remember when I was super little, me and my brother had this cousin named Johnny, and this fucker was infatuated with stealing our Boba Fett Lego figurine. I was like, go kick rocks. You're not taking it, you little bastard. It's Boba Fett.
Get out of here, Johnny.
Genuinely. And Boba Fett is a original trilogy, like, probably top 5 iconic character.
He's one of the last ones.
Yeah.
Like, he literally is. He's one of the last ones. I don't see anything about Chewbacca. No. Like, I mean, 3PO showed up in Ahsoka season 1, but the point I was trying to make is, like, Book of Boba sucked, right? It sucked. But I feel like Book of Boba hasn't gotten a fair shot yet. I feel like, and that's the show that's, you can easily turn around. I feel like you can easily whip a 180, fix Book of Boba season 2, because you haven't really done a whole lot with the character. And that's kind of why the show sucked to begin with. Like, you didn't do much with him, but at the same time, that might be their biggest strength, that, you know, the mold hasn't, you know, turned to clay yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's or the other way, the clay hasn't turned to a mold. So I think they can do that. But with Mando, it's like, dude, we're 3 seasons in. We haven't seen anything interesting from him. Like, what do we expect out of season 4? You know what I mean? And Ahsoka, we already know where they're going with Ahsoka, so it's like, well, like, I don't know. So I have more faith in Ahsoka season 2 than in Book of Boba season 2 than Mando season 4. Mando season 4, I'm just gonna be like, I don't even know if I'll watch it, to be honest. I really don't. I'll ask you guys when the episodes come out. I'm like, should I waste my time or
on Ahsoka?
No, for Mando season 4.
Oh, for Mando, bro.
Yeah. I'll be like, does Nick Cannon show up in this one? Is Justin Bieber?
I'll watch the premiere. Beyond the premiere, man. If it's a dud, it's a dud. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it'll be a really, really tough thing for me to be able to stomach. It'll be a really tough thing to stomach if it's bad. If it's bad, I don't know if I can do it, man. Genuinely.
I mean, I already stomached Mando season 3, so I feel like, you know, the show to me is dead. Like, I don't know. Like, season 3 should not have happened.
No,
it really shouldn't have. The character of Mando should still live on in other shows. Like, don't get me wrong, the character of Mando should still live on and show up and, you know, surprise guests. But him having a show, like, you know, I hate to, you know, beat a dead horse here, but it's like, you know, Mando season 1, bounty hunting, get the child, protect the child, whatever. Season 2, find the child's home, discover what a Jedi is. You know, fight the Empire, mission accomplished. Mando season 3, what was the objective? Oh, that's right, bathe in the waters. We did that in like episode 1 or 2.
Yep.
After that, what's the point? What are we trying to do here? Something, fight the Empire.
Yeah.
Like,
it was kind of just all over the place. There were beefs with the Mando sects. Then they needed to join together. It was all over the place, and it didn't need to be. And
it's weird, man. It's weird. I don't know how they wrote that, how they got past, like I don't know, like editors and stuff, but it's so weird. I've never seen a show where they're like, the thing we're gonna do by the second episode, and the rest of the time we don't know what we're doing. It's like, oh, that's super strange.
Pretty much.
It almost makes me think that, like, the script was either rushed or they weren't planning on certain things, and maybe they said Grogu's got to be in it more. I don't know.
That's what I'm leaning towards. I think it's probably to do with the Grogu shout. Then,
because, like, there's a lot of things that happened to him. I'm like, what was the point? Like, he gets his own little chest plate. We never see.
Which never came into play.
Never came into play. Just got it, and it's like, okay. Because there was rumors and people were saying there was leaks that he was going to get his own Mando armor, and I'm like, and I see this chest plate, I'm like, okay, this is the beginning of his Mando armor again, and they're just like, oh, it's going to be very samurai-esque, it's going to look cool. I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. Never happens. He gets IG 12 whatever 2.0, and then they just make him his own droid. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. I don't know. I don't know.
It was goofy.
I have no words.
It was goofy, yeah. Hot take, Mando season. Yeah, that's my hot take. It needs to be good. It needs to be great. It needs to recapture that Western feel of season 1. We need to, by the end of episode 1, we need to know why we're there, who we're there for, and why. We need to know the enemy. We need to know the objective. That needs to be established early.
You want to take predictions on the first episode?
I kind of want to do predictions for the whole series. You know,
right,
it starts off like this: they're petting the pet birds. That's how
they cooked those things, man. They ate those. They cooked and ate those chickens.
I think what's her face comes back. Cara Dune comes back. I don't think
so. She said no, didn't she? Didn't Gina Carano say like even if they asked her to come back, she said she wouldn't?
Man, when she sees that paycheck, you kidding me? No one's saying no to Star Wars. I'm sorry. It's 2020. It's about to be 2024. No one's saying no to a Star Wars paycheck. I think Cara Dune's got to come back.
Okay.
I think Bo-Katan and Din need to make it official.
They need to kiss with their helmets on.
Pretty much.
Dink.
Pretty much. Or you just see Mando come out of a room with his helmet on and zipping up his pants.
Not just his helmet.
Yeah.
Just his helmet.
Back shot of just his butt cheeks. Like,
the camera's underneath his legs, you know, he just like
God.
Just kicks open his front door. That's a great camera shot there.
The show's
I think season 1's gonna start off on Navarro. And Navarro's gonna be in distress because some random bullshit trade spice runners, pirates, has-beens are bullying people, and Mando's nowhere to be found. And then the last second, he shows up and saves the day. Typical superhero cartoon episode. My cameo appearance, I think, is going to be. I think my cameo appearance has got to be. Ooh. I think Chris Rock is going to show up.
Has he not been in Star Wars? I thought he was. Has he? No, genuinely, has he not been in a
Chris
Star Wars?
Rock has not been in Star Wars yet. No. I think the cameo is going to be Chris Rock and Will Smith are going to be in a cameo together. Moff Gideon's going to come back with his mustache because the one without the mustache was a clone.
Damn.
And we're not going to see a mythosaur.
No, of course not.
And that's going to be season 4 in a nutshell.
How much of the First Order gets mentioned in season 4?
Zero.
0?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so again, I'm trying to be funny, but at the same time, like I'm also trying to be just practical. So Disney's tactic right now, in my opinion, is we're going to use the timeline between episode 6 and episode 7 to tell the story of the sequel trilogy and make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
They are running out of time to mention anything Resistance First Order related.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like because right now it's all about Thrawn, Ahsoka, and Mando season 4. These are the shows they're talking about. These are the shows they have to invest time into that are going to be coming out in the next couple of years, as well as who knows when the movie's going to come out. I'm guessing 2027. So here's the thing. They are running out of time in real life and in Star Wars time because the 10th anniversary for The Force Awakens is literally in 2 years.
Yep.
Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. But we're like what? Like The Force Awakens takes place 30 years after episode 6, and we're already 8 or 9 years post episode 6 at this point.
Yep.
Heir to the Empire is going to probably take place, 11, 12 years? Maybe, I'm going to guess. Or let's just say 10. Let's just say 10, round number. After episode 6, so I'm like, unless they start, a foundation for the new sequel trilogy, it's going to seem like the First Order sprung up out of the ground overnight. And that's going to make the sequels look even worse.
Which is why they don't need to mention the fucker. I just want to see hippie Snoke walking around in the background, even on Coruscant, because we've been there so many times. Just show him walking about, because he was about. Snoke was all over the place. He was networking the entire time between 6 and 7, and that's how he was able to formulate the First Order. Like, and how many Imperial offcasts are there on Coruscant right now? Half the fucking planet, half the planet.
Yep, I agree.
So it'd be.
But they're running out of time to show this stuff, and it's like they're running out of time because now it's going to be like.
I think that's where the they them storyline's going, is towards First Order build up.
Maybe.
Because I don't know what else it has to do with, like, fuck does it have to do with Gideon?
I don't know, man. Gideon is nothing. Gideon is just, like, the actor is bigger than the character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, Gideon is, like I said, it's literally Team Rocket, man, from Pokemon. Like, it's just there to be annoying and be in the way, and he's a challenge for our heroes to improve themselves. It's like, I don't know what else to say about Gideon. He doesn't really do much. But like I said, they're just running out of time to start, connecting point A and point B. It's like we're en route, but it's like I just don't see any connections yet. Even with the whole cloning thing, like when they were like, you remember in season 2 when they stormed Navarro and there was like a science facility and there's all those cloning bodies and everyone was like pointing fingers. Oh, you can hear Snoke's theme in the background. It's like, well, maybe it's up for debate. But it's like those were just Gideon's clones. Those weren't Snoke's clones. Those were Gideon's.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Operation Necromancer, it definitely sounds like it's porting towards Palpatine, but at the same time, Operation Necromancer could have just been Gideon cloning his clones.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the closest connection we have to the sequel trilogy is literally, you hear the Resistance theme play on Coruscant with Dr. Doofy and they, them, when they're looking their LGBT, like, whatever those popsicles that light up.
LED light.
Thank you, LED. Thank you. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, I don't know what else I was saying. LED
I was calling
popsicles
gay. That's crazy.
The LED popsicles.
Yes,
you hear the Resistance
popsicles.
You hear the Resistance theme in the background, and then we meet Hux's dad.
Yeah.
Those are literally the only two connections that we have with the sequel trilogy.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't see anything else. I mean, there might be things that might be missing, but if I miss them, then I didn't retain that.
No, and I think you hit the nail. Like, we're running out of time, so
yeah,
you got to start. I always said sprinkle it in, dust it in. Pretty soon they're gonna have to start getting a handful and dropping stuff in.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to see some meteors coming down with some like knowledge bombs, just like, oh, the First Order is here now.
Yep. Like you gotta salt your soup nicely.
Yeah, so that's the hard part. You have to introduce the First Order, and then you have to explain what the hell happens to the New Republic.
Yep.
That's gonna be tough.
I feel like they're laying the groundwork by displaying how like ignorant and full of themselves and how just, for lack of a better term, terrible that the New Republic government is, and how they don't really care who's in charge because they'll do whatever the hell they want anyways. There's no empire, so they can do what they want.
I don't really like that. I don't like how they did that because it makes it sound like like I don't like how stupid the New Republic looks. Like, because it makes it feel like and I never really was a rebel lover. I was always like, I loved the Empire. But the fact that the New Republic is like that ignorant towards a lot of like real threats really undermines the weight of their victory in the original trilogy.
Yep.
It really felt like the rebels were like this organized group that wants to change the galaxy. They want to get rid of tyranny, and they want to save everybody. And then the New Republic is, like you said, they're just kind of like, oh, who cares? We're getting paid. It's like, dude, that is not what I remember from the original trilogy about the rebels. Like I don't know. I feel like Hera. I feel like, how she's always on trial and everyone's like, picking on her. I'm like, Hera feels like how rebels should be. Like they're following orders, they have protocol, they're breaking protocol, but for good reasons.
Yep.
Everyone else is just kind of like, they got to stick up their ass or they just don't give a shit. It's just like, I don't know. I don't like how the New Republic's being portrayed, especially with how new they are. It just shows that they don't have a future, which I guess they don't, because we don't know what ever happens to them.
And another thing that I don't like about the New Republic is how politicians are trying to interject themselves into military standards, where Hera, who is a general in the New Republic fleet, is saying, Thrawn's back. We're trying to stop him. Why is a politician saying, you don't know what you're talking about?
Well, because that's what politicians do, but yes, to your point, yes.
It's dumb. It's dumb. And that's part of the show. It's not dumb in the sense of like writing. It's dumb in universe. That guy is a piece of shit. I don't appreciate him. But
yeah, like the only people I liked on there was literally, I was like, thank God Mon Mothma's the Chancellor. But at the same time, I'm like, Mon Mothma has never been the type to make people do anything or unify.
No.
She's always been a great mediator. I think that's what she's good at, is mediating. But in terms of like inspiring people, no. She does not inspire people.
Love her in Andor though. Unreal.
Yeah.
She's so good. Does anyone else have any nuclear hot takes?
I'm good with mine.
Perfect.
Man.
Perfect. Well, I think it's time now that we move on to our final segment here. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, the official Archives podcast, Canon. So when we speak about canon moving forward, this will be the solidified canon. And there's 3 of us. 2/3 majority rules. If you think something should be canon or legends, that's how we're going to rule. So an easy way to start, episodes 1 through 9, I feel like are canon. Easy. You know, just putting our pillars in the sand here so we can build upon it.
I mean, unfortunately it is, but to me, like, the sequels were really dog shit writing. Like, excruciatingly hot dog water. From Snoke's death, that literally had me screaming in the theater, like, what is this bullshit? Like, Wonder Leia, I'm sorry, she was already dead in space, and then, like, Force Jesus, like, touched her soul and said, survive. And then I don't know what their trend is with people just like adopting people and giving them their name. Rey Skywalker, Din Grogu. Stop that. It's the same thing with the lightsaber in the chest. You gotta stop that. Like,
I'm gonna say episode up until episode 7. I think anything after 7, no.
Yes.
But 7, I think, is such a great setup. There's so much opportunity with 7. Because I mean, 8 is just kind of where everything just dies. Like they screw up Luke's character, they kill Snoke a whole movie early. Just a million things go wrong in 8, and then 9 is just playing damage control. And Tico, you've proven, you know, your point that like you think it's as good as it could have been. I agree, but I still think it's awful. It's just my opinion. I mean, you like it, that's your opinion, but I think 7, I don't think there's anything wrong with 7. I think 7 is very safe. It is very similar to New Hope. I know a lot of people don't like that. It's just like a New Hope, but I'm like, well, Star Wars likes to copy itself all the time. This is no different. This is just a movie.
So we want to make 1 through 7 canon, 8 and 9
I think
legends.
So because at least with 7, you still have John Boyega's story, and that's something I really wish we would have had. You still have the story of Finn as a force-sensitive stormtrooper. Rey is still Rey ?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think
Snoke's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think from there you can build a better sequel.
For sure.
Build a better bridge.
For sure. Any. So 1 through 7, I vote yes, canon. 8 and 9, legends. Is that what we're all in the same boat?
I like that. I can say 8 and 9 is a legend.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just organizing.
We can write off 8 and 9 as if, you know, the writers got drunk one weekend.
Yeah, and that works for me. I'm just getting this all organized here. So we have, in order, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back.
And of course, all the shows and spin-offs and all the shows and like, you know, Solo and Rogue One, all that stuff too. You know.
Okay, so
everything but
Solo comes first, then Rogue One.
Yep.
Clone Wars. Are we doing
Rebels is in between as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clone Wars, sure. Yeah, all that stuff is great. I think all that stuff's fine. Even the new shows.
But yeah,
I'll even say Mando season 3 is canon.
See, that's where I would
over 8 and 9.
That's where I would say I only want 1 and 2.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I didn't know we were allowed to do that, but yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think so. Only in terms of this, because there's a cutoff. Yeah. Whereas you can't be like, season 5 of Clone Wars, you're gone. Just because.
Yeah, because there's 6 and 7, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I would say Mando seasons 1 and 2 can be canon. Because it still doesn't fuck anything up. And it's a decent story. Because it's a completed story, too. It's a completed story. How do you feel about that, MJ?
I'm on par with it.
Okay. So 1 and 2, and we've put episodes 8, episodes 9, and Mandalorian season 3 in Legends. So with what's next? Andor. I would keep it canon because I think it's sick.
I have a suggestion on changing who the main character is. Instead of Andor, because I just don't know why he is... I don't know why they picked him. Out of all the characters in Rogue One, I'm like... I feel like Galen Erso would have been cool to see a prequel.
Yeah.
You know, seeing something from the inside, from the eyes of an Imperial science officer. Andor just, I don't know, like, he was a cool character, right? He was a cool character, but I'm like, I feel Andor was just as cool as Chirrut and Baze. It was like, they were great background characters. I don't know why Andor got his own show.
It would have been tight if we saw Galen and Krennic during the show.
I know. Like, I want that so bad. So instead of having Andor, what if it was Kyle Katarn?
I'd be down for a Kyle Katarn show. I think
instead of Andor.
Yeah, I think
you just replace Andor with Kyle Katarn as the main character.
Have the show titled Katarn. I fucks with it.
Kyle.
Yeah, well, Kyle didn't really sound too good in my head, so I said Katarn.
We can come back to Kyle Katarn too, because we're gonna talk about video games and such.
Yeah.
But just as far as Rebel or Andor goes, black and white, cut and dry, how we got it, would you hang it up as canon or Legends? Because I think
I don't care either way. I feel like it doesn't care anything or add anything to any of the other shows. It was a good show, right? But like, does it add or take? Does it add, like?
I think it adds context.
Yeah, it just adds context, really.
Like, I've watched Rogue One post Andor. Andor's character doesn't change for me.
Same.
I think it adds context towards like the everyman, what the galaxy's like under the Empire, and even what the Empire's even like internally. That's what I love about it.
But that's not new though.
They eat cereal.
It's not new. No, it's not new. But I do think it's nice to get reminders, because we are 40 years away from the last bit of the like Empire era of Star Wars. Not counting Rogue One, obviously, but I do think it's pretty tight. And I like the politics, the behind the scenes stuff. I like seeing how the rebellion is starting. I think Luthen might be one of my favorite characters. He's so cool. Yeah, I think that I'm an Andor fan. You know, I'll live and die by Andor. That's my show, bro. I love that show. What else have we got? Ahsoka. I'm cool with Ahsoka being Legends. The issue is, I know it's only season 1.
I'm trying to think, like, what are the cons of saying Ahsoka is Legends? I don't think there really is any.
You get to see Anakin atoned with the Force.
We can see Anakin anytime we want. He's a super Force god ghost now. We can just
I think that's
Force
cool to be
ghost
in
follow.
canon though. I think that's cool to be in canon. I think Balin is very fucking cool.
But we can get those characters without the Ahsoka show.
We can. Sabine is a Jedi.
Could care less.
Thrawn coming back.
We can still get him back.
I think for safe, like to play it safe, we make it canon, but we can always revisit this after the story's culminated.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm open to it being Legends for sure.
I am too. Like it could go either way for me, and I like the show. I gave it 8.5 out of 10.
That's shocking that you're okay with it being Legends. So I give it a 6.
Yeah, like because of where it's at. Because it's like a shade of blue when we're talking about browns and oranges in terms of the sequels. Like we're still very far away from where we need to get.
We're almost halfway there.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
We're almost halfway, man. I'm like, it's a lot closer, I think, than you think.
Yeah. So I think for safety, it's cool to be canon for me. What else have we got? The Book of Boba Fett.
Could care less.
I would happily put that in Legends.
Legends.
Yeah. Because what we get. Okay, so yeah, put that in Legends because literally, Boba being in Mando season 2, like, what he does in season 2 is fine. It's like Boba Fett's back. He's got his armor. He's got his shit back.
Yep.
He exists. He's out there.
Yep.
His show didn't do anything to him, other than make him look like a goof.
No. Yeah. Because I think you can rewrite how he survives the Sarlacc pit. What happens to him after the Sarlacc pit.
Or who cares? Who cares how he survives? He survived, period. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to know if he went out the Sarlacc's butthole or mouth, or who cares? Like,
Yeah.
he survived.
So Book of Boba Fett is Legends. Have we got any other shows? I feel like we're missing a show or two. Mandalorian.
I'm gonna preemptively say Skeleton Crew should be Legends.
That's fair. I don't know when it takes place though in the timeline, but I'll throw it in Legends.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up Disney Plus here because I feel like we're missing something.
I think we hit them all. I hit all the shows.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Legends, please.
Legends, absolutely. Holy moly. Legends. Erase Reva from the face of existence.
Oh, we can't. She was in Book of Boba Fett, bro.
What?
We
already erased that too.
She's Tusken
Book of Boba's
Warrior.
Legends.
You know that?
Oh god. Well, she's dead. She's dead. So
What
maybe
else
we
do
should
we
maybe we should keep Book of Boba canon then.
I don't really want to even talk about Resistance, but
No, that just goes with the sequel trilogy. That's not canon. No.
So Resistance, we'll put Legends. The Bad Batch.
Oh, 100% canon.
Okay, that's what I thought.
100.
And that takes
What
place.
about well, hold on.
Right after 3.
What about Battlefront 2 DLC story?
For the
Battlefront
latest
2.
one?
Yeah. That's the one where like
Definitely canon.
in the future, but like you show up, the story ends at the beginning of episode 8.
I would say canon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say canon. I liked Battlefront 2. The story. While we're there, talking video games, Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order.
Legend.
I would say Survivor.
Survivor, I would put
Non-canon,
Legends.
and Fallen Order 100% canon.
Yeah.
Same.
How do you feel, MJ?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, mine exactly the same. So, Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order. Actually, I'll get rid of Star Wars because it's in the name. And then Legends, we're going Jedi Survivor.
Survivor.
Because that game did nothing. I like that Cal and Marin hooked up, though. That was cool. What else have we got? We have... It's so crazy how deep the Bad Batch is buried in the series and specials part.
It is.
Tales of the Jedi, I would definitely make canon.
Yep.
Keep it canon. Okay. And Tales takes place pre-episode 1 and also pre-Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Or not in the middle of Clone Wars. But I'm just gonna...
Before Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's before and during episode 1.
Yep. So Tales of the Jedi. How do we feel? I think that's every on-screen media.
Just about.
So let's talk about any books that we would like to insert.
Heir to the Empire, canon.
I mean, the entire Thrawn trilogy should be canon.
Okay. Where does that take place here? Because that's probably what, prior...
Post episode 6.
Post 6. Okay.
Yeah, Heir to the Empire is post 6.
And also the Ascendancy as well, probably.
Well, hold on. Ascendancy and the Thrawn series take place in the new canon.
Yeah.
Heir to the Empire and the OG trilogy is the old canon, so I don't think you can have... I think it's one or the other because they do kind of like take place at the same time.
I really like Ascendancy, though.
I do too. I'm actually currently reading it right now.
Yeah. I'd more lean that than Heir to the...
Because you can still get Heir to the Empire. Like, we're still getting it.
Yeah. It's still going to happen. It's just going to be newer...
different.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be Han, Luke, and Leia.
It might.
It might.
I think genuinely they're going to do some Avengers type beat. But it's a vote. Do we go OG only the trilogy, which I've got behind me right there, or do we go Ascendancy and New Thrawn trilogy?
I'm with Ascendancy, New Thrawn trilogy.
I am too, especially because you get to learn that Thrawn was like fighting with Anakin.
Yep.
That's super cool part of it. An Ascendancy takes place during the era of the Clone Wars and episode 3 and towards episode 4, in between Rebels. So I'm just gonna put it like right underneath Ascendancy, or right underneath the Clone Wars. But very good trilogy. Shadows of the Sith, which is the Luke and Lando book.
I haven't read it, so I don't know.
I think it's phenomenal. I think it's really good. Essentially, it's just Luke trying to find and save Rey's family, but he doesn't know who it is, and he never gets to meet them. And it's in the end, you learn that Rey's mom had Force sensitivity, but wasn't like a Jedi or anything. But they were both killed by Ochi of Bestoon, who we got to learn was a Jedi hunter during the Clone Wars. And after the Order 66, it does a lot of context for Lando as well. I think it's a sick book. I would make it canon. Yeah. And I want to say it's when Ben is 13. So about 13 years after episode 6. 14 years after episode 6. Thereabouts. And you get to meet Lor Santeca, Luke's Academy. It's all cool. But we also have Master and Apprentice with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, which is a nice little book. It does a job. But it's kind of just like a whole like good cop, bad cop book for the most part. But there is a lot to do with the Jedi Council, who offered a seat to Qui-Gon, but he turned down so that he could remain Obi-Wan's master because he believed in Obi-Wan and believed that teaching him was for a purpose. I think it's a good one. Good one. Anything else that you guys want to add to canon?
I think that's good for now. I think there's a couple games and other comics we could probably go into. Like, I know we didn't really talk about the Vader series or like the Afra series or War of the Mountain.
Yeah, this is more so just getting a nice skeleton. We can fill in the guts and stuff next time, but that's a good little canon because we've taken out a few things. So Jedi Survivor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, Mando Season 3, Resistance, and then episodes 8 and 9 are legends here on the Archives podcast. That sound good?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us guys here on the Archives podcast, episode 17. We appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. And for MJ, Van Seal, and myself, it's been the Archives podcast. And may the Force be with you.